students, this is 8th grade math. Unit 3, lesson 4. And for this lesson, you must take notes. Dun dun dun. Get your pencil and paper ready. You must take notes. We will do the work on another piece of paper, and then it's going to be really easy for you to come back and enter it into your GeoGebra assignment. Please read the problem with me. Problem number 1. A contractor must haul a large amount of dirt to a work site. She collected information from 2 hauling companies. The first hauling company is Easy Excavation. It gives its prices in a table. Here is the table for Easy Excavation. Happy Hauling Service gives its prices in a graph. Okay? 2 different companies. Can you keep them straight? Easy Excavation is one company. Happy Hauling is the other company. Problem number 1. How much would each hauling company charge to haul 40 cubic yards of dirt? Explain or show your reasoning. Okay, so we're going to haul 40 cubic yards of dirt. What's the units of that? Yards cubed, cubic yards. That shows the volume of dirt that we need to haul. How much would each hauling company charge? Okay, look at the table here. They tell you the price for 8 cubic yards, 20 cubic yards, and 26 cubic yards, but they don't tell you the price for 40 cubic yards. Happy Hauling has a graph. Down here on the x-axis is cubic yards of dirt on the x-axis, but they only go up to 6. And look, that price isn't even on the graph. Their graph does not help customers very much. You can see that if you're hauling 2 cubic yards, it costs you $50. If you are hauling 1 cubic yard, it costs you $25. So how much would each company charge to haul 40 cubic yards of dirt? Okay, you've got your paper ready? Let's take some notes. So here is the same problem. A contractor must haul a large amount of dirt to a work site. You know what? I don't want to use that. I'm sorry. Let me use this. Here is the same problem. This is the same lesson. Here is Easy Hauling Company, and here is Happy Hauling Company, the same as in your GeoGebra assignment. The information they gave us, go ahead and write this down in your notes for Easy Hauling. 8 cubic yards of dirt costs $196 to haul. Write this down in your notes. 20 cubic yards of dirt costs $490 to haul. 26 cubic yards of dirt costs $637 to haul. Now for Happy Hauling, they showed us a graph. And the graph only went up to 6 cubic yards of dirt. There it is. Let's just get some numbers from the graph. 2 cubic yards of dirt costs $50. 1 cubic yard of dirt costs $25. Please write that in your notes. So for cubic yards of dirt, not squared. 1 cubic yard costs $25. 2 cubic yards cost $50. Now you have your information ready. The first thing I want to do is recognize that both of these show proportional relationships. Proportional relationships take the form of y equals some constant of proportionality times x. And in this case, I think y represents the cost of hauling the dirt in dollars. The constant of proportionality is going to be the price per cubic yard. Let me write that down. The price per cubic yard. Cubic yard is denoted as yards cubed. I wrote price here, but remember the units is dollars. And then X equals the cubic yards, the number of cubic yards. That is the volume of dirt. Volume in yards cubed. I'm going to put a little dot right here, remember, for multiplication. So that's what everything represents. The cost to haul the dirt, the price per yard cubed, and the volume of the dirt. So then what we really want to know is the constant value, the constant of proportionality. How much is it per cubic yard of dirt? Go over here to easy hauling. It costs $196 to haul away 8 cubic yards of dirt. So that's the information we need to find our constant of proportionality, K. Get your calculator out and do that math. Do the math, and then you can check your answer in a second. So pause the video. I did the math, and I got $24.05 per cubic yard. Easy Hauling Company charges $24.50 per 1 cubic yard of dirt that you want hauled away. Now for Happy Hauling, they charge $25 per cubic yard. We can just see that right off of their graph. $25 per 1 cubic yard. The question number 1 asks how much would each hauling company charge to haul 40 cubic yards of dirt. So if our X equals 40 cubic yards, how much is the Y value? Okay, go over here for easy. Y for easy equals $24.50 per yard times 40 yards. You can do the math. Write your equation over here for Happy Hauling. For Happy Hauling, the price will be $25 per yard times 40 cubic yards. Okay, please do the math and get your answers. Now you can check your answers with me. You paused the video and did it yourself, right? You're not just waiting for me to do the math for you, right? Okay, what we get is easy hauling is just a little cheaper. I would like you to enter your answers into that GeoGebra page. Right down here, how much would each hauling company charge to haul 40 cubic yards of dirt? Explain or show your reasoning. So tell me what their price per yard is. If you don't explain your reasoning, I'm going to be very disappointed. Don't just copy my answers. Okay, problem number 2. Calculate the rate of change for each relationship. What do they mean for each company? I've already calculated that for you. The rate of change is your constant of proportionality. And in this problem, that is the price. Hold on, my pen's not working very well. Let me make it a little smaller and darker. The constant of proportionality is the K value. And in this problem, it means the price per cubic yard that you want hauled away. The price per cubic yard. Now tell me what the constants are for each company and what it means. Please fill in your answer here. If the contractor Problem C, if the contractor has 40 cubic yards of dirt to haul and a budget of $1,000, which hauling company should she hire? Explain or show your reasoning. Okay, she only has $1,000. She has to haul away 40 cubic yards of dirt. Which company should she use? Well, Easy is going to cost $930. Oh, you know what? I just now see that I have an error in my math. Can you find my error? This number is wrong. I got it wrong. I wrote it down wrong. I copied it off of my notes incorrectly. So you're going to need to find the correct answer. This answer is wrong. Okay, let me write it in. This is what it's supposed to be. $980. Now, anyway, the contractor only has $1,000. She can afford either company, but which company should she use? Easy Hauling for $980 or Happy Hauling for $1,000? Here's what I would do if I were her. I would choose Easy Hauling, but I would give the driver a $20 tip before he starts the work. That way, I think he'll give great service and be thankful for the tip. That's what I would do. Okay, let's keep going. Let's see the next question on the GeoGebra page. Make sure that you put in your answers. You must type in your answers. Problem number 2. Andre and Priya are tracking the number of steps they walk. Andre records that he can walk 6,000 steps in 50 minutes. Priya writes the equation y equals 118x, where y is the number of steps and x is the number of minutes she walks, to describe her step rate. This week, Andre and Priya each walk for a total of 5 hours. Who walks more steps and how many more? Okay, do you want to do this one in your notes? I think it's a good idea because I want to see your work. So on your paper, show me problem number 2. First, write down the data that they've given you. You have 2 characters in this story. Andre, I'm just going to call him A, and Priya, I'll just call her P. It tells you that Andre walks 6,000 steps in 50 minutes. So go ahead and write that down. 6,000 steps per 50 minutes. Oops, you know what? My zeros keep looking like 6s because I'm not used to using a pen tablet. I want to be more careful. There are 50 minutes. And that was 6,000 steps. It's important to write your units so that all of the problems make sense to you. Now, what they told us, 6,000 steps in 50 minutes, you should recognize immediately that that is a rate, and that is our constant rate in this problem. We've been calling that the K, the constant of proportionality. For Priya, she tells us that y equals 118 times x, and y is the number of steps, so I'll just call that steps, and x is the number of minutes she walks, so that's the time, and the unit is minutes. Make sure you have this clearly shown in your notes. I want to see that you understand these parts of the problems. Now, this is the equation she gave us, and it has the constant of proportionality right there. That means that Priya walks 118 steps per 1 minute. That's what that rate means. Make sure you write this down in your notes. 118, it means something. It means 118 steps per minute. And the question they asked, who walks more steps after 5 hours? Okay, we need to do a conversion first. After 5 hours, our unit rate is in minutes. So we need to convert 5 hours to minutes. What is 5 hours in minutes? 5 times 60. 5 times 6 is 30. So 5 times 60 is 300. Okay, that's going to be 300 minutes. So now we know the time, and we can enter that into the equation. So for Priya, how many steps does she walk in 300 minutes? It's going to be 118 times, you know what? I did a dot and parenthesis. I don't need to do both. Times 300 minutes. Do you have a calculator? Get your calculator and write down the answer. And for Andre, now we only have his rate, but that's no problem. We're really good at this by now. So we know y equals 6,000 steps per 50 minutes. And we're going to multiply that by 300 minutes. And that's going to give us his number of steps in 5 hours. But you're like, what? This is 118 steps for 1 minute, and this is 6,000 steps for 50 minutes. Can we just put 300 into both equations? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. It doesn't matter that this is 6,000 for 500. Do you know why? If you do the math, you can reduce that fraction. It's proportional. So it doesn't matter if it's scaled up or scaled down. The fraction stays the same. Let me explain that. 6,000 divided by 50 equals 120. So if you just do the math, that equals 120 steps per 1 minute. But that's the same. 6,000 divided by 50 is the same as 120. So you can use k equals 120 steps per minute, or you can use k equals 6,000 steps for 50 minutes. It doesn't matter because they're proportional. Okay, now give me how many steps each of these characters takes in 5 hours. Pause the video and write your answers. Did you get it? Now, let's check your answers. In 5 hours, which is 300 minutes, Andre walks 36,000 steps, and Priya walks 35,400 steps. Do those answers make sense to you? Look at them again. Do they make sense? I always stop and ask myself, do they make sense? That's why I'm pausing. Okay, well, let's check if they make sense. We reduced Andre's rate to 120 steps per minute, and Priya's rate is 118 steps per minute. So Priya walks a little slower. She has a little bit fewer steps per minute. So it does make sense. Yeah, Andre has slightly more steps per minute. Okay, good job, guys. Put your answer in the problem now. Right here, you need to type your answer, and you must also show your notes. Explain your answer. Please show your notes. Take a picture that clearly shows your notes and attach it in the Google Classroom with this assignment. By the way, don't forget to answer how many more. Okay, who walks more steps and how many more? So your answer has 2 parts. Let's go to the next problem. Oh, this is something totally different. It looks like a review from previous work. Find the coordinates of point D in each diagram. Here is point D in the first diagram. Here is point D in the second diagram. Okay, let's start with the first diagram. Can you find the coordinates of point D? It's on this line right here. I think what we need is the slope of the line. And we also need to look at this value right here. Okay, here's something I want you to always remember. When you see coordinate points, they're telling you the x value first and then the y value. Don't forget that. That's really easy to forget, but I want you to always remember. So this is telling you x equals 2, y equals 10. And here, this is telling you x equals 2 and y equals 0. And that makes sense that y equals 0 because it's right here on the x-axis. So the y value is 0. And then this point here is telling you x equals -6 and y equals 0. Now, how can you find the coordinates of point D? Just by looking at it right off the bat, well, I can see the x value is 0 because it's on the y-axis. So I already see that x equals 0. Now, let's use the slope of the line to find out what this y value is. Okay? Remember that slope is the change in y, and I've given you this formula many times before. So if you're good at slope, you can do this on your own and just check the answer. Change in y over change in x, and I've told you, you can always calculate that by choosing a point as point number 2 and choosing another point as point number 1, and then y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So let's have this here be point 2. Sorry, I want to use point 2. It doesn't matter as long as I keep my writing organized. Anyway, this is point 1 and 2. Now calculate the slope. y1 equals 0. I got that from here, y1 right here. Minus y2, that equals 10. Minus 10, there we go. You must be careful with your negatives and positives or else you'll make a mistake. Be careful. Okay, x. Oh, you know what? I wrote it down y2, y1, but I called this 2 and this 1, but I wrote down y1 minus y2. You know what? It doesn't matter as long as you keep it straight. But let me change these numbers because that's not what I did. I did 0 minus 10. So that makes this my y2, according to this formula here, y2. And that makes this my y1. So I'll do that. So y2 equals 0, y1 equals 10. Fine, good job. x2 equals -6 minus x1 equals 2. Now it doesn't matter if you say this is 1 and this is 2, or this is 2 and this is 1. In other words, you could have this same equation be y1 minus y2 divided by x1 minus x2. It doesn't matter as long as you keep the points the same in the first position. So we have y1 and x1 in the first position, and then y2, x2 in the second position. That's what matters. Just keep it the same. Okay, back to work. Where was I? I'm changing colors. How about this? I don't know. Okay, so do the math, and we get -10. -6 minus 2 is -8. And when you reduce that fraction, what do you get? 5/4. That's what you get. It means the line goes up 5 units and over 4 units in a proportional way. Maybe it goes up 10 units and over 8 units, whatever. Okay, now we know the slope of the line. So, if we want to find the y value here, it means the y increases 5 units for every 4 units of x. So how many units of x did we go over? Ding, 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 ding. Well, we see this x is -6. So our x went over by 6 units. So take 5/4 times 6 to get our new y coordinate. Can you do the math in your head? 5 times 6, that's 30, and it's over 4, so keep that denominator. And that's going to be 15/2, and that answer reduces down to 7.5. That's the x value. Now, I'm really good at math, so that was easy for me to see that I just take the k value here and multiply it by the change in x. But let me write that out using this equation so you can really see how this works. Okay, we calculated that the slope equals 5/4. Now, put that here. 5/4 equals, just like this, slope is 5/4, and that equals y2 minus y1, blah, blah, blah. So go ahead and use the points. Let me erase so you can see where I'm getting my numbers. Okay. Here's another way to solve the same problem. And let's say that this is 0.1 and this is 0.2. So using 0.2 first, because we want to solve for that y2, that's what we're solving for. y2 minus y1. Okay, y1 was 0. Now put in the denominator of our problem. x2 is 0 from this point here. And x1 is -6. Okay, go ahead and solve that. When you solve that, you're going to get the answer that I showed you first when I kind of did it really fast in my head. You're going to get y2 minus -0, so that gives us y2, divided by a +6 equals 5/4. So what do I want to do? I want to isolate my y. And I showed you this in the last video. To isolate the y, you can multiply both sides by this denominator. So multiply that side by 6 and multiply this side by 6. Because if you do it to one side of the equation, you have to keep the equation balanced and do it on the other side. And then this 6 in the denominator cancels out with the 6 in the numerator. Because 6 divided by 6, that equals 1. So 1 times y is the same as y. And remember, this is y2. And then over here, do the math. 6 times 5 divided by 4. That's exactly what I started with when I did it in my head. 6 times 5 divided by 4. That is 30/4, which reduces to 7.5. So that's my y2. The y of coordinate point D. So the question is, what is the coordinate points of D? Okay, look again. D is on the y-axis. So x equals 0. And we solved for the y value here. The y value is 7.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. What I used to solve this problem was the equation for slope. First, I found the slope of the whole line. Hold on, I want to show you. First, I found the slope from this point all the way to this point, because the slope everywhere on the line stays the same. Then, I found the slope again from here to here, just this part of the line, which is the same. I did it right here. Oops. Anyway, gosh, I hope you took careful notes and you understand what I said. Use the slope of the line. First, calculate the slope of the whole line. Once you know the slope, then put that into this equation and use your other two coordinate points here. Okay, good luck, guys. I want you to try that on your own and show me your notes in a picture. You must take notes. Do not copy my answer. In fact, I'm going to be grading you on taking notes. I'm going to write that down. I'm grading you on taking notes, not entering in answers. Let's try problem 3B. Same thing, we want to find the coordinate points of D. Okay, I always write the equations on my paper. Even though I've been doing this for a long time, I still always write these equations down and put them on the top of my notes. So slope equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Now, I'm going to start by taking the slope of these 2 points. Once I know the slope of the whole line, then I'm going to change my points and just look at these 2 here. Then I can find the coordinate points on the y-axis here. So let me show you. I'll show you this by step. Step 1, take the slope of the whole line. I'm just going to call it k to keep my notes short. Remember that slope is also that constant rate, k, whatever. You can call it k or whatever you want, but anyway. Let's say this here is 0.2, and this here is 0.1. You can choose what you want. I'm just going to say that and make sure I keep it straight. So y2 equals 7. 7. And then minus y1, y1 equals 3. Good. x2 equals 2. And now subtract x1, that equals negative 4. Make sure you keep your negative signs, otherwise you'll have errors. Do the math. 7 minus 3 is 4. 2 minus negative 4 is the same as 2 plus 4. So that's 6. Our slope is 2/3. Check your answer. Make sure you got the same thing as me. I guarantee I make mistakes and you can catch me. So don't always trust me. There's the slope of the whole line. That is the slope of the whole line. Now, we're going to use that slope to find the coordinate points of D. So let me erase a little so you can see what I'm doing next. And I'm going to change colors for step number 2. How about this beautiful blue? Okay, so for step number 2, I'm just going to use that value of slope for this part of the line. And we're going to call this here 0.2, and this here is now 0.1. So this is my y2 and my x2. Oops, oh no, I wrote those down in the wrong order. Remember, it's x before y when you write down the coordinate points. Oops, I want to fix that. I like to keep everything written properly. So where was I? Okay, point D. These are the coordinates of point D. It equals x2 and y2. Okay, now let's find the slope. We already know the slope. Slope equals 2/3. We found that in the first step. 2/3 equals, now use this here equation again. Use this equation again. y2, which is what we're solving for here. y2 minus y1. y1 is in 0.1 here. This is our 0.1. So that's y2 minus 3 over x2. Okay, what is x2? Well, look, it's on the y-axis. So we already can see the coordinate point of D for x. The x value is 0. x2 equals 0. We can see that. So that's 0 minus x1 is negative 4. Go ahead and do some math here. So 2/3 equals y2 minus 3 over positive 4. How are we going to solve this? You need to solve this for y2. When you solve that for y2, you've got your answer. The x coordinate point of D is 0, and then you need to solve for the y coordinate point here, for point D. Okay, pause the video and solve for y2. Pause it. Okay, let me help you with solving this one if you're stuck. We have a 4 in the denominator, and I want to isolate y2 so I can see what y2 equals. The way to do that is to get rid of everything surrounding y. I'm going to kind of move it to the other side of the equation. That's how I think of it. Let me change colors. How do I move it to the other side of equation? Well, I have to keep my equation balanced. Whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other side. So I'm going to multiply this side by 4, and then I'm going to multiply this side by 4 because I have to keep it balanced. And why am I multiplying by 4? Because I want this 4 to go away, and it'll cancel out. Remember, 4 over 4 equals 1. So that just cancels out. That'd be like saying times 1. Anything times 1 is itself. Okay, what do I get when I do that? 4 times 2 is 8. And then the denominator stays. That becomes 4 times 2 is 8 divided by 3 equals y2 minus 3. Okay, now what am I going to do about this 3? I want to isolate y2 and see what it equals. Well, let's add 3 to this side of the equation and add 3 to this side of the equation. Remember, whatever you do to this side, you have to do to the other side, because here's this equal sign and you must keep it balanced. Okay, what is y2 minus 3 plus 3? The reason why I did that is because if we have anything minus 3 plus 3, that equals 0. These 3's cancel out. Negative 3 plus 3 cancels out. That'd be like saying plus 0. So that just leaves me with y2. But over here, I'm left with 8/3 plus 3. Please make sure you're following along in your notes, because if you come and look at me later, it's going to look like a mess. You have to follow along. 8/3 plus 3 equals y2. Okay, now do the math. What does this equal? What is 8/3 plus 3 more? I'm going to change this fraction to, I could change this to a mixed number, or I could change this 3 to a fraction. What do you want to do? Okay, let's change the 3 to a fraction. What is 3 if you have a denominator of 3? That's the same as 9/3. So 3, I just rewrote it as 9/3. So 8/3 plus 9/3 equals y2. Exhausting. Keep going. 8 plus 9, that's 17/3. Okay, we got our answer. y2 equals 17/3. Please reduce your fraction. 3 goes into 17 5 times, and there's 2/3 left over. There is the coordinate point, the y coordinate point for point D. Make sure you do the math. Do not just copy me. I'm not doing all this work just so that you don't learn anything. Please show me your work in your notes. Problem number 4. We're almost finished, guys. I know you're exhausted, but I'm so proud of you for learning math very well and taking notes. Select all the pairs of points so that the line between those points has a slope of 2, 3. Okay, so what they're telling us right off the bat is we are looking for points that have a slope. We're looking for points whose line contains the slope 2 over 3. So you're going to say 2 over 3 equals, that's slope, equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Put in the coordinate points and see if it equals 2/3. Okay, so let's try this first one. Does the slope of this line equal 2/3? I'm going to call this point 2 and this point 1. Don't forget, it's x, comma, y. Don't forget. Okay, so y2 equals 3. y1 equals 0. x2 equals 2. x1 equals 0. Do the math. This slope is 3 over 2. That does not equal 2/3. Dun, dun, dun. So number 1, no. Let's try another one. I'm just going to change my color. Okay, how about the next one? Here, the blue one here. Okay, go ahead and calculate the slope. y2 equals 2, y1 equals 0. x2 equals 3, x1 equals 0. Fill that in real quick. So that gives you 2 minus 0 over 3 minus 0. What is this? The answer reduces to 2/3. Oops, 2 2s. No, 2/3. Yes! Ding, 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 ding. This point has the slope that is equal to 2/3. Da-da-da-da. There's 1. Now, you need to check the rest of them. Check this one. Check this one. Check this one. Do the math yourself. I want to see some math in your notes. You need to finish this problem on your own. Remember, do the math. Don't just wait for me to do it. I want you to do it. Okay, good job, guys. Get to work.